Hey, what's up, everybody? Time for another game theory video. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you want. Super chat, super like, Patreon, whatever. God, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I can't believe the game is 6 years old, you know? Fuck me. But the game theory video of this is something that I've talked about before. And it's how that, although I'm not a big fan of tag team games, like I said, tag team games do give you the opportunity to make new archetypical characters potentially, as well as just the system of Dragon Ball FighterZ did. And it even gives you a chance to make new moves, right? And that's what I want to focus on today. Putting in new moves that could only fucking exist in a tag team game. And I said this like really early on for Dragon Ball FighterZ. I've made a couple of videos about it. So we'll make another one. I can't believe the game is fucking 6 years old now. And still no rollback, I guess, man. I don't know. I feel like even if they end up changing something, like maybe there's a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2, I feel like the game is so Mugen-y that I feel like it's a lost fucking cause. I'm more excited to play the Virtual On game than Dragon Ball FighterZ ever again. But what would be an awesome move that you could put in to Dragon Ball FighterZ that could only exist in a tag team game that would put a new perspective on fighting games? And I always say that you could have done a really cool idea for Vegeta's final explosion, right? I'm so angry, boom, he kills himself, but the other guy doesn't die. So how would we do this move? Making this an interesting move in a fighting game. Well, how about this? Roll with me here. It might sound a little bit weird, but I think you'll get where I'm going at. Vegeta. Let's say that his final explosion, let's say that it takes 5 levels to do, okay? It's a level 5 super. So we already know it's very expensive to do, right? Whenever you do Vegeta's final explosion, he automatically dies as well, okay? However, the caveat to this, and it does half-life to the opponent. And it's unblockable. No matter what, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but then you're going to see why. And I always say this is one of the best ideas I've ever had because it's ingenious and it works so simply, to be honest with you. So it's a full screen unblockable, does half-life. Basically nothing you can do about it. But guess what? Although at face value, that sounds retarded. It's a tag team game. It's Dragon Ball FighterZ. Why does this work? Think about this. Maybe at face value, if you're not thinking deeper, you might think this sounds stupid. Think about this. So Vegeta, let's say before he does his final explosion, right? We already know it takes a lot of meter. It takes 5 bars. Well, he has a little phrase. He starts to talk a little bit, right? So it's not like this move can really be comboed into. Even if you're thinking about Dragon Ball FighterZ and you do a hard knockdown of a move, right? You know what I mean? Let's say this move just wouldn't combo. It would give the guy time to like stand up, right? Right before the explosion happens. And then guess what? A mind game happens, right? Because he has to decide there's enough time. Do I want to switch one of my teammates? Where is my life bar in this situation? Because I know no matter what, basically, besides one caveat we'll get to, I have to take half-life. Do you see that this has already added a mind game, right? I know Vegeta's going to kill himself, and I know I have to take 50% life, but guess what? I can substitute one of my characters, and he can homing dash in, he can take my spot. He can take that 50% life. Do you see why a move like this could not exist in any other fighting game besides a 3D game? Because obviously you can't say, oh, well, fuck, I have to take half-life no matter what. There's nothing I could do. And the caveat to this would be, and I've said in videos before, you got to remember, Dragon Ball FighterZ does have a charge-up mechanic. So a caveat to this would be that I would say, you know what I mean, your guy, let's say when Vegeta is talking, whatever, he's totally invincible to everything but a level 3 super, right? He just tanks everything, right? Which wouldn't be that hard. Isn't that like implausible? Because we already know that, we have hard knockdowns and like say level 3s are coded to have a hard knockdown, right? So you just say you code the move that when Vegeta goes through his little speech, say it takes just a couple seconds, right? Just a couple seconds, not long. Vegeta's doing it maybe a half a second and a half, whatever it might be. Vegeta does his little speech, blah, 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 goodbye, Kakarot, blah, 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 goodbye, Kakarot, Bulma, Trunks, whatever, Sayonara. Game freezes, he explodes, right? So he's invincible to everything but let's say level 3s. If you have a level 3 you can waste your level 3 to knock him out of it. He's not invincible to level 3s, right? But if you were to try any other kind of super, any kind of move, whatever, it would hit him out of it. Do you see, like actually think about like what a fucking insane sort of like team strategy you could add to that. It gives Vegeta a cool gimmick, and it's always good to have characters with more gimmicks, because then you can have interesting team synergy in a tag team game. You know what I mean? It takes Vegeta a lot of meter. You know he's automatically going to die, but you also have this vibe of, you know what, fuck, basically no matter what, I can get this level 5 off. You have to eat this 50% unless you want to waste your level 3, which then it becomes a tug of war, because you know that I just wasted my level 3, and I'm going to lose an entire character, but if I waste 3 of my supers to beat you out of it, you know what I mean? Then you can beat it. You see, there's a bit of a tug of war, right? It's extensive. It is costly for Vegeta, but it's, quasi guaranteed. It's guaranteed in the sense that it's not necessarily guaranteed power bar wise. It's not necessarily guaranteed your super, but it is sort of guaranteed that you have to use some sort of resource to combat this, right? I mean, it works so fucking perfectly. And there's also that meta, like I said, because it's slow, you can have, like I said, it's great when you can actually have a storyline when you're watching a match, right? When you listen to someone talking about the match, like, oh God, is he going to use his burst here? Just like, oh, is he going to use his burst here? When's he going to use his meter here? You know what I mean? There's already that sort of narrative in it. So when you think, if someone picks Super Vegeta, regular Vegeta, whatever it is, I guess it'd be Super Vegeta in the game, right? You're like, fuck, if he charges up to level 5, you're like, oh fuck. When is he going to use this? You know what I mean? Because he can probably kill himself, and that other guy, he has to spend some kind of resource to get out of this. Again, if you get a hard knockdown, you wouldn't be able to charge up some of your super to try to level 3 out of it or something like that. You would have to make that split-second decision after the hard knockdown from Vegeta. It's like, fuck, I have to sacrifice one of my characters because no matter what, someone's getting hit by Half-Life. That's a sort of mind game that cannot exist in any other fucking fighting game besides a tag team game, because it seems too extreme. But in a tag team game, that's a sort of tug of war between, wagering my meter, my life versus yours, right? And of course, it's very powerful. It's Half-Life no matter what. You can't block it. But there's ways out of it. And there's that extra mind game. And that's why I said before, so many times for Dragon Ball FighterZ, it has that tug of war between fireballs, homing, dashing, and reflecting. There could have been more new character archetypes, right? That's such a drop ball, right? And you could have had a character, then you could have added some vacuum characters to suck up your meter, that kind of stuff, to add a different kind of dynamic in the thing, right? And you could even say something like this. Guess what? Maybe there's a thing that you would program it into the game. Say that when Vegeta does the final explosion or whatever, all his life dies, like he dies, but he doesn't actually die till he hits the ground and say a frame after. So let's say if a character like this, and this is just getting how deep you could get with it. Say there's synergy or something between Krillin and Vegeta. So you throw out the final explosion, whatever, Vegeta starts going into it, but Krillin throws a Sensu bean, right? Let's put a little Sensu bean right there. So when Vegeta does this final explosion, this guy takes their damage before I do. So technically it explodes, then I die. Well, maybe if there's some kind of team synergy with Krillin, he falls down, boom, his life goes up just a little bit. And so he doesn't die, right? You could add so many little weird mind games to it, like little meta, oh, fuck, he's picking the Vegeta Krillin team, he's going to try to save up meter, you know what I mean? He's just and it's not that weird, because just like you think of characters oh, they're trying to save, 7 levels of super for fucking Gogeta. Maybe you're going to have teams oh, we're going to try to save 5 levels of super for Vegeta. You know what I mean? Or did I say Gogeta saves up 7 levels for the Big Bang coming out now? So say maybe you got some teams oh, we're building this around. We want to keep building meter for Vegeta. Although we might lose him, Maybe we'll have Krillin there, and that's like a gimmick strategy of, oh, fuck, he's going to go for Final Explosion. He throws a fucking Sensu Bean, and then it just becomes, oh, fuck, which character do I sacrifice? It's a weird gimmick, but it's a gimmick that can only exist in a tag team game, dude. And that's why I say Dragon Ball FighterZ is such a drop ball, because there's just so many things that you could have done with it. You know, just fuck me. Anyway, seriously, like think about that. I know it's fucking genius. Remember, if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.